All right, what is going on, guys? It is time for another episode of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. And well, it's sad to say, rally month is over. I don't know how many rallies you can fit into a month, but man, did we stuff a lot of them into this month. But the good thing with that, it is time to get caught up. So this time around, episode 90 of the Chasing Waypoints podcast, man, we're almost there. 100 episodes coming right up. So this time around, we've got some special guests here in the studio, and one that couldn't make it, but he's going to be on the phone with us, and none other than the whole Baja Rally team, or the guys, the los jefes, the meros, the kind of, I don't know, what would we say?
The looks of the operation?
The looks of the operation, I think we could go with that. The looks? The board. There we go. We have the board. We officially have the Baja Rally board here with us in the studio, Adventure Taco Studios. Shout out to Gnarly Dave for that name. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about how the rally went down this year and what we can expect. And it's a recap show. We need to do recap shows of rallies. We need to let people know what they missed out on, because this year was pretty damn good. So I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more from the guys on the back side of it, how that went down, the routes, how it looked like after. All the things that we on the other side of the table don't get to see, don't get to hear, the experiences and stuff like that. So in the studio here live with us today, we have Danny Zaragoza. Danny, say hello.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
And then we do have Scotty Bloom. Scotty, say hola.
Hey, Victor. Good afternoon.
Buenas tardes. And on the phone, none other than Mauricio Parra.
Hola, hola a todos. From Mexico.
Live.
Aquí me tuve que quedar hoy.
It's all right. It's all right. You're here in spirit.
Somebody's got to pay the bills.
Somebody's got to work.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, guys. All right, so let's get this. Let me turn down the party here so we can get right into it. All right, first time 6-day Baja Rally. Always been 5 days, but you guys went an extra day this year.
Right now tonight we're missing our fourth leg is Matt Freyer, and he's up in just heading back from Arizona. Couldn't be here, so Matt is the fourth member of our board, and also the fuel mule guy who handles the gas and some logistics stuff. But yeah, so the 6-day Baja Rally wrapped up about 2.5 weeks ago. It was 2 years in the making. We missed 2020. Which was a 5-day deal, and 2021 was supposed to be the 6-day rally, and it turned out to be really successful. Not just the format of adding the 6th day of racing, but just the way we condensed the bivouac and condensed the service route to really focus on Catavina, which we plan on doing next year. But thanks for being there, and also for everything you're doing on the podcast. It seems to be helping the sport grow. But we did have a what we hear is a pretty successful event for us.
See.
Yeah. I mean, from outside looking in, right? This was, I think this was kind of more my first year where I was like, okay, on the other side of the table and watching everything go down and how everything was going. And the first thing I'm going to go with is one. The gift that Baja gave, right? The gift, but double-sided sword, right? So green. I was there 4 years ago when the first round of hurricanes, and I'll never forget. We're like getting ready, the meeting's getting started, and all that stuff. And you come rolling in, Scotty, and just like this ball of dust following you, and just from the field, just finished verifying route, like having to make all of these changes. That was a challenge. But Baja was not as green that time as it was this time around. So everybody got to see that. And everybody consistently, every year, that's been the thing, and I've commented a lot on that, is every year it's the same feedback I get at the finish line is, wow, I've been down here all of these years. I've ridden all these. Wow. It's like I've never seen
anything like that.
Yeah.
There's more meat on the bone to make the stages all new for next year. And so people that raced with us in the last few years, or this last event, the last edition, if they're thinking that it's going to be the same stages, they're mistaken. There's a lot more that we can do to make the stages original, but you're right about the green and the weather, and like you say, the gift. Gifts cost money, and there's a two-sided sword, right? A gift. We received some good weather before the event, gave us green, landscapes, but we also had hazardous cross ruts and some hazardous stuff. So it was an eventful thing. Hopefully we can get into some more meat and bones of the actual event. But that year you were talking about, 2018, where the Hurricane Rosa hit literally 5 days before the beginning of the event. And that one, we learned that Scotty doesn't have to be at the inspection day and the registration day for it to go successfully. And it was actually more successful that I wasn't there at that time. And now
remember that, Victor?
And Danny and the rest of the team, everyone's kind of like, we're ready for next year, so that like the guy that, the Scotty guy doesn't have to have his hands on everything. And that's probably the most exciting thing about some of the stuff we'll talk about.
Yeah.
This year, remember, this was the first in 2 years, and then we were able to perform for first time the marathon stage that we've been talking a lot of time. So having the marathon stage executed as we did, I think everyone could feel the good vibe of having that marathon stage only with the riders. That was awesome. That's what I keep of this year rally. It was a great stage.
That was the biggest. So yeah, let's talk about. So this was the first year, right? Baja Rally going. It's always been a 5 day, 5 stages, 5 racing. There was a mix first. It was prologue, and then 4 stages, and then it was then it just went to just straight up 5 stages. But this year was the first year that you guys had the idea to go, okay, we're going long. We're gonna add another day of racing, and including that. So.
And including the marathon within that.
And the marathon within that, which is crazy.
That stage is supposed to be 400 kilometers, I guess, right, Scotty?
Was it 400?
Yeah, it would have been
supposed,
but they were shortened.
Yeah. And so, well, first of all, okay. So for those playing the home game, right? So when we talk about a marathon stages are everybody is a Malamoto. You could be a factory team, but that's where you get to test your mechanical knowledge, because you don't get to hand the bike off to anybody. That's you working on it.
All you.
Yeah. So again, for those playing the home game, a marathon stage is basically you are going to race to a certain location, and then you are basically sequestered. It's just you, no support crew, you, your bike, your teammates. If you're on a team, or if you're Malamoto, it's just another day at the office, and that's it. You get some parts that you're allowed. You got very specific things that the organizations let you take to this place, and that's all you get. And then the next day you race back. Rules vary, tire changes, things like that, what spares. Traditionally, it's very minimalistic. Traditionally, you're only on the tires you took, so that's where you get like what Toby Price last year or the year before, having to do this duct tape and zip tie repair on his tires just to make it out of there. So marathon stages are designed to be very challenging, and I was excited to see the Baja Rally did that. So what was that like? And that was in LA Bay that you guys went to?
Correct. Yes. Mm-hmm. First time to go to LA Bay, to Bahia de Los Angeles, and we were relaxed on. We relaxed a lot of the competitive part of the rally while keeping it competitive. Some of the rules, instead of being super, like Nick Bronner or Alec Bronner's girlfriend, they wanted to come. And at first it's like, no, they can't come because they're part of the support team. And then we realized that this isn't a 100-person rally or an 80-person rally. So we were relaxing some of the rules that next year we will be more strict with. We'll be a little bit more strict with who can come into the marathon area. And we do plan on spending, it's going to be the same format, similar format, hosting from Catavina Hotel. Everybody that is telling us things tells us that was just the best place to. It's an oasis in the middle of the desert that has a pool and a great vibe, and it's comfortable. If there wasn't so many flies this year, it would have been, ideal. So the marathon stage, it's a 2-day deal. So it's basically you're racing for 2 days with one, service interval, so you don't have that. The service thing. Coast to Coast Rally is coming back, and that's going to be in February. You should look at that. Coast to Coast Rally in Veracruz. They'll have a marathon stage towards the end. They're doing a 5-day rally, and their marathon stage is the second to last. And in 2017, that's where I had a wheel bearing, and there's no cycle gear, there's no shops, there's nobody with a KTM up in this village, and so that was tap out time. But the Bay of LA experience was great. Something that I think that we're hearing, I think Mo Hart said it on one of your episodes, that it was 90 degrees there and everyone showed up. It's a beautiful place, and the rooms are all air conditioned. And so
the pool was cold.
And the pool was like refreshing. And so Mao, I think you hit it on the head with that choice of Via Vita, and Mauricio will likely bring it back next year, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we pull it out, like, yeah, let's go, and then deciding where to stay, it was just, since we don't know how much gear are you going to bring on the logistics and all the stuff moving, but it was very smooth.
Nice.
But yeah, that was a good one, Vic.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad to see that, because I feel like that is just another, like, one more step, just one more challenge. The terrain is challenging enough, and that's something that I kind of want to, Danny, you did a lot of the recoveries, like you were sweeping, you were in it. I mean, that's
hell of a job, dude, bro. Hell of a job.
It's not easy. Yeah. I mean, and we've talked previously. You're seasoned. I mean, overlanding and being out in the middle of nowhere in the bushes. You're not a stranger to that.
No, I am not.
So, tell us a little bit. Like, okay, so we know Scotty designed the course, and we know Scotty can design a course. Right. I mean, I've got 5 years of racers now, 6 years of racers that I've talked to firsthand. And none of them will tell me any different, that no, that course was not like, it wasn't that. No, everybody says that, but we'll leave Scotty out of this one. What was the course like for you?
Well, one of the best experiences on course for me to begin with was how I met Scotty, and I won't get into that long story, but having him in the truck with me, which was a first for him as well, to be driven a lot of on most of these courses and have such a good time. Me sitting there watching the course master do what he's doing. He kept looking at me and saying, I know that you're going to think I'm crazy at the end of this, but you're going to have a great time. And I'm like, no, don't worry about it. I already thought you were crazy. I'm just, reaffirming the entire situation. But
we're just verifying.
I mean, to see the decision making as we're going through course was so rewarding for me. To see, having been on many courses, over my life, riding with him and seeing how the decisions are made at the forks, at the T's, and at the Y's, and why the decisions are made. The getting famous for saying the heaven through hell, why I absolutely hate him for, an hour, and then I'm just in love with exactly everything he's doing for the next hour as we're on the coast and it's nice and cool. And then we get out there in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, where we've just been getting beat for a while, but the view's incredible. You're like, all right, I need some more coast. Just when you're getting ready to get those hands around his neck, bam, right to the coast again. And it's just
some more epicness.
Yeah. It just brings the whole thing together, So, but sweeping this year was special in a lot of ways. We had a little bit more support out there on the course, which we didn't need the years that I was in the past, but it was necessary this year. It happened every time. Where there was, whether it was Eddie Zeller, who took a very unfortunate spill. Sorry?
Baja bound.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Eddie Zeller had a spill, and we were very close to him. He's one of the moto medics, and he's one of the guys who's been around, the Baja Rally forever. And thank God he was okay, but he did break his leg right above his ankle. And we were right behind him, Baja bound. Decided I had a few drinks at the hotel with Baja bound the night before, and I said, guys, come out on course with me, because they were going to stay at the hotel the whole time. And I said, no. You guys aren't staying in the hotel. Let's go. And they're like, let's go. We got the truck to do it. And they had the attitude to do it too, because I said, it's going to be a long day and you might hate me at the end of the day, but believe me, you're going to be happy you did it. And they were so happy.
This is on stage 2.
Stage 2, yeah. It was day 2, stage 2. We get there, and we loaded his bike up right on his Tundra, on the Baja bound Tundra. So we got a really nice ride on the way home with the AC rolling.
So that you could stay on course.
So I could stay on course and continue sweeping the entire course that day, which was, I think I swept the entire course four of the 6 stages, you know, and the other 2 days was about a half day, one day, half day, another day, with the support of the other guys, you know, which was great to have.
And it's good that you stayed out there on the course and you didn't be the guy that extracted him, because
yeah, if I would have had to have done the extraction, I would have been so far from the middle of the course. It's really hard to get all the way out there if somebody gets in trouble again and they need to get out of there. It just makes it impossible to, I mean, the trucks are only as fast as they can go. And there's moments where we're right with the motos, but there's moments when the motos just completely dust us and they're gone. So if we had to bring a truck all the way back to the recovery areas where something could happen on middle course, which is the farthest areas where you are from the bivouac, it's just, there's no way. I mean, it's just too much time and too much danger too for the riders. Plus, you got to think about the trucks not breaking down. If you're doing all these miles back and forth, and then we have a truck recovery as well, then we're not doing our job, you know. So that's our primary job.
So make sure was it that you got one of the Bronner kids had blown a motor and that was your next call? That was the one that you picked up on the same day, right?
Yeah, right after. It was really funny because the area that we had to go through to get to him was a very tight, dangerous area that had a lot of drop-offs, where actually a couple of motos had some 8-foot drops, really big drops.
It's like how 6 turns into 8 after, like, you know, first it was like 5 foot. It was, whoa. 5, then it was 6, now it's 8. So
well, the more bikes that end up down there, the hole gets a little bit deeper.
That 400-pound Marlin that got away, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was really fun to get out to him. He was out there. I couldn't believe his spirits were. He was the most positive guy I've ever seen broken down in my life. It was an absolute experience to break him up, because he was like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And you know how we want to get the moto in there. We hurry up and get the moto in there. And I said, that's got to be the most beautiful horse that's ever sat on the back of my truck. And to see it broke down was sad, but God, it was a lot of fun.
Was that Nick or Alec Bronner?
It was Nick, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Nick. So as we're rolling back, he didn't really expect to be rolling back at about 45 or so, 50. He said, "I have a Tacoma, but it's not really quite as fast as it says." I said, "No, it's probably as fast, but you're used to going faster on the moto. So
yeah,
you're also used to driving." So we had a really good time riding back, and it was really good to have somebody who was fast as he was, and as focused on the race as he was, to have the attitude that you have to have in order to have a successful rally, which was just complete positive, ready for tomorrow. I hope we can get the bike fixed and get something going again, or another bike, which is what, at the end of the day, thanks to Diaz Pro, ended up happening. Yeah. You know, getting another bike. So,
nice. Yeah. That was definitely a good showing. And you know, that was the first, like, I was really impressed with that. So you guys had, I believe it was, in the end, was 12 new guys. 14 total. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so 12. Yeah, but so 14 rookies. That's huge.
And you're the rookie.
And not only that, but a lot of those guys, I mean, the Bronner kids, I don't know that they've ever ridden in Baja.
They've never been to Baja.
They've never been to Baja.
They've never been.
Ever.
But put, what, an hour 45 on the entire field? I mean...
the entire field.
The entire field.
Yeah, and then the kid that broke his motor, or that blew his motor... You know, he gets penalized and ends up having to start from behind, you know, for day 3, 4, and 5. But it seems like he finished second place physical on the 6th day. So I don't know, he made up all that time, because his starting order on the last day, he was starting second or third. It's like he jumped, even though he had a DNF or had the like a 10-hour penalty or some kind of a huge penalty, like he made all that up. I don't know how else to explain how he finished, but those two young guys were just remarkable, and it makes us change the rule a little bit so that there's rookie and then there's rookie nov, or rookie novato, or the novice rookie, that, hey, you can't be a champion or like a blue ribbon, like hair scramble racer or like a hare and hound racer, and then come out and just go full rookie. So we're going to have to tweak it so that authentic rookies that are really green behind the ears have a different trophy to fight for.
Yeah.
Well, these guys really tip the scales. I mean,
and this was something interesting, and I talked about it a little bit in that episode. Is to me there was something very interesting, and I went through. I didn't get to do the practical side of your rally school. I got to sit in on the first classroom session, and there was a theme in there that was very important, and that's been reiterated across many people. And it's basically is in rally, you're really only doing two things. You're either navigating or you're racing. And you're generally not doing both at the same time, because if you're doing both at the same time, one of those two is going to cost you. And the fact that these kids knew when to shut it off, because you could go fast. And I heard from other racers and all that stuff that these guys were in kill mode. Like they were in attack mode.
Yes.
But the fact that they had the brain to, okay, time to sit down, time to rope it in, navigate this, and then gone. And at a pace, obviously. I mean, obviously it wasn't like down to first gear, but that was, I mean, it's inspirational, because now you're using, okay, here's a whole new generation, coming at this. And what was to get to the question, what was the feedback that you guys, I mean, you spent time with him, Danny, in the car.
Yeah.
What was it? What were the comments you heard from him?
Well, my question to him specifically was, what is it that made everything click like that? And he said it was, mostly instinct of just following. It's really funny because he said to me exactly what Scotty said to me the first time he was in my truck while we were making race course. He said, we're picking the best route. And then we're taking these Ys off of the main routes when we need to start doing more navigating, so that guys can really enjoy speed. And then once we jump off of that, we need to make sure that it's challenging enough that it's really a challenge. And he was saying, it was almost like he was connected to Scotty's brain, because as I was hearing him talk us through how he's going through the course, it almost sounded like what you were explaining to me when we were going through the course. Which kind of blew my mind a little bit. I said, well, you got to have that sixth sense in order to be able to do what they were doing.
So if you're free riding and you're out in the desert and you're free riding and you see a Y and you just naturally want to keep the flow going, you're going to take the one that keeps the flow. And that's the idea behind the rally, is to not break that flow, not to break it up or disrupt it, just...
Hey guys, what's going on? Super quick break in the podcast episode. I hope you guys are enjoying. I just wanted to mention really quick, I've been using the Anchor.fm platform for all of the podcast distribution and everything, and it is very, very simple. So if you guys have been thinking about getting into your own podcast, doing your own thing, talking about your own adventures and what you've got going on your side of the planet, it is very, very simple. All you got to do is go down to your app store, whatever that may be, if it's Android or if it's on Apple, download the Anchor app, or you can also go to anchor.fm, create an account, and get started. It is super, super simple. So anyway, with that being said, back to the episode.
For the sake of navigation. And so whenever we can keep it flowing and rad, that's what we're going to do. And then, as soon as they get comfortable and it's like, okay, just keep doing the main line, then we're going to throw something in there. But each day, of every rally, each day there's going to be either a naturally weak note that's going to be the natural Achilles heel, the one that most people are going to screw up on, or it's intentional. And so we intentionally on the third, fourth, and fifth day, and the sixth day, there's intentional ambiguity thrown into it that, like the mine on the last day, the marble mine, the onyx mine, where it's people are like, oh, I got really kind of screwed up on there. Okay, that was intentional. You were supposed to basically have to struggle a little bit and take some guesses out of it. But that, that Nick and Alec and that the fast guys, how they're in race mode and just going for kill, and that you're saying that they have to stop or sit down or slow down, it's no cakewalk to get through the nav. And so they pulled it off, and like I could see them maybe having a 15-minute mistake and then making all that time back up. But there were guys they're racing against, David Pearson, there's Tony Palandrani, who's no longer a rookie anymore. And, he's no rookie in score. He's raced plenty of score, never had a podium as rider of record, so he qualified as a rookie. But they're also racing against Mike Johnson. And, Mike has raced in every single Baja rally except for one. And, he's been on the podium like 6 or 7 times. And, he really wanted to win. He still wants to win one. But with these younger kids, it's like they just know that there's a big gap. And so the young kids, they're rookies no longer. But hopefully with Robert Mann, and thanks so much to Freedom and Kansas City Rally for coming out, or Kansas Rally Team for coming back. So they've given me a verbal for 10. They think they can handle 10 riders under their tent next year, and so that'll be a big presence. And I think what they want to do is have the biggest presence.
And what a team they are! What a team!
They are, yeah. What a team! And they're putting resources, and they have capital invested. They got like Mike Georgeson was the pit boss at the Sonora Rally, which you guys just wrapped that thing up. What a great, successful event that turned out to be. And the news about Sonora joining in with FIM for the World Championship Rally Raid series is like, it's like game changer. It's like seismic news for the whole sport of rally in North America to have, the tour, the big world tour, do a stop in northern Mexico.
Congratulations to them on that.
Yeah, I mean, huge. It's like Sonora's been working for years to get their game wired and get their game going well, and it's like a huge boost for them, and I think for all of the pros and for Mexico in general, for the state of Sonora, and also for Rally Raid participants and rally fans in North America. It's nothing but good news. And not to segue, but that's a kind of a seismic news event in the last week that's popped up that is worth noting.
Yeah, I mean that's and what I agree with that. Like now North America. Now you can say, okay, yeah, North America's on on that cover, and what's to say a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's the thing. So now we're going to have some more attention, some more spotlights, some more people. We're going to have, obviously there's going to be more people that travel to the event, and maybe just even as spectators, whatever it is. I mean, we already know that just turned into another production, and so it puts an even bigger emphasis on what you guys are doing and having another event. You can't have just one event. There's got to be multiple events. You got the Kota Rally, Yellowstone Rally. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I know they're working on the next episode. Obviously, Baja Rally, that's already 10 years.
Coast to coast, the other one. So there's some meat on the bones for people to get into it and work through it. And so no excuses.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're close. There's the objections, right? All the doors, that hallway of objections, they're all getting closed. You're going to get to the point where it's like, all right, it's time to get off the pot and get out on a bike. And I mean, and that's we haven't talked to Mauricio, but I mean, I've known Mauricio. How long have I known you? Like 20 years?
20 plus.
20 plus years.
Sorry to hear that.
And I know, right? What I learned was a valuable lesson. If you ask Mauricio for a sticker, you're going to get into some stuff. You're
going to get in trouble.
But Mao, like in the time that I've known you, I mean, you started with Baja Rally and this, but then you picked up riding and, on the XR 400 and chasing Scotty around, on these stages.
Yep.
And so.
And we got to chase Mao on his first stages, and that was making course for 19, remember? So we got to actually chase Mao around quite a bit, and I remember actually winching Mao out of the mud.
From the mud.
Here, hold on. Here, yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're good, Mao. I muted his mic.
Thank you. No, yeah, he did. They both rescued me, and it was fun, but it was fucked if I didn't have them. I will be still there. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I was start riding again.
Nice. So I want to ask you how the rally went for you, but I think there's an important question to ask about this, and because it's a reoccurring theme. How many times did you guys run these stages? Without, I mean, if you don't want to give away the secret sauce, that's totally fine. You know, you can just say a bunch of times, but roughly about how many times do you guys run each stage before you say, I'm going to say this will work, because I know I talked about this in the previous episode. There's always that, like you said, there's always that one note that you think you can make it a little bit stronger. You go through I can see that. I haven't experienced it, but I can see it, that you just get sucked into this vortex of trying to make the perfect road book.
We actually had it. I mean, we went several times before, and then we thought we had it. We were super happy. Like, okay, we nailed it. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times before. And then the news about the storm coming in, we're like, fuck, let's go back to ground zero. So we were monitoring the rain and seeing the news, and yes, it was very bad. And Scotty was remembering, like, okay, this is every 4 years, so it's a cycle of that. So we just said, okay, let's man up and let's go back. So Scotty went back and thank you, Elon, with the Starlink, and wrote it like a week before to do the last corrections, and then make big decisions like cutting stages or putting them around, and then noting the hazards. It's a lot of responsibility on designing the course, the extraction routes, everything. So it has to do on the safety. The safety side will always dictate the way, but that's the art of having safety rides and extreme riding. So that was it.
So 5 is the long answer. So the most that you're going to run a stage is 5 times, from conception to making a clean GPX track, to actually tuning the road book, to having the final verification. 5 is the most, and like half of one run is like the stage 6 from last year. Was pieced together with Rally Navigator. Thanks, Mike Shirley. Rally Navigator's come so far, and that when you put Rally Comp, Rally Navigator, E32 maps, Garmin, Google Earth, using your Forerunner, using 4 or 5 of these pieces, you can. We're getting it wired now, so where we can take a little section 15 kilometers from this one stage. Mal and I ran it after the storm, and then another mile of pre-running the day before, and stage 6, 70 kilometers from scratch, basically not even run at one time. So the last stage, I never ran the whole thing straight through. It's just pieces where I can trust it to where there's not going to be a failure. And so that's not possible on all of the stages, but stage 4 was made. It was made by scratch, by hand, less than a week before the rally started. So it's just basically from the highway. It's that 109 kilometer piece, the hardest, most technical stage that had all the ruts. And this is the one where if someone broke down, there's no way to get their bike out. The only way to get the bike out is to send parts in, and with a mechanic. Is the only way to get it out.
By bird.
So and that's the long answer. So it could be in the future, it's like 2 times is the minimum that you have to run the whole stage. And this rally we just completed, part of the reason it was so successful is it was basically 2.5 years in the making. So we started building it early 2020. Basically first week of 2020. COVID hits that rally. We ran the stages. 5 of them, you were there. We had 10 people on an underground, non-competitive rally. And so a lot of the stages, a couple of the stages from this recent rally, we ran them already. We ran them with guests, with 10 guest riders in 2020. None of those riders were present. Matt Sutherland was there in 2019. He didn't make it to 2022, but this last rally was very successful. The stages were successful, and hats off to Mike at Rally Comp, for everything he's already done and everything he will do. And the thing is we can all talk about like everything that Sonora has already done, but the important thing is what Sonora will do.
Yeah.
And the important thing for us is what Baja Rally will do. And part of that is trying to figure out what are we capable of. And now Mauricio, like, you know, this year was a breakthrough for us in which area?
Wow.
Well, I think that was the year of the rookie also for B, because he was the
You're the
guy who
rookie in all
kind
the
of.
things.
What was the hotel?
Yeah, so-
it was the Lost in Baja, bringing what you and your team do every day, every week, bringing that to the rally with hospitality, the accommodations, the food, the lodging, the logistics part of that. Was in the history in the past, that's been one of our harder spots, is like
Yeah, so it's the case with the hotel keys and shit.
and the hotel keys and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, and that's the logistics of it, because you think, oh, you know, yeah, you had so many racers, but then you add so many staff and you add this, and then multiple phone calls and getting together with these hotels and making sure they're ready. Even something as simple as like, what time do you got to open the kitchen? You know,
Exactly.
We're going to have
Can
a
you
full...
please open at 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of 6.
And they were like, I don't know, I need to wake up the cooks at 3 a.m.
Okay.
Well, you better, because that will be the big sale of the year.
Yeah.
So, but they're super happy to have them. I think the answer to that is just we worked hard. We worked hard for the last 2 years, every Tuesday meetings. We sacrificed time and everything, and that was a result of everyone's angle, working hard. Did a great rally for everyone. What Matt did and everything. Of course, there are uncertain things around, but they were the minimum. I mean, I personally tried to do it. I want to enjoy this rally. I want to have everything set so I can just be there. And that was it. I was very calm and very thankful of all the team. My dad got to be with us again another year. So that makes me very happy.
The staff got to enjoy the rally completely.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like the riders did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really...
And that was something, you know, that I heard, and hats out to that, because I think, like, you know, I was present at the writers meeting and did all that and saw it, and there was a vibe. Everybody there is a friend, and I think that there was not that competitive, like, you know, that face, that look, that, you know, those
Exactly.
and you know, obviously they're the comment, you know, that some people thought that sometimes it's too relaxed, but you have to understand, you get a bunch of guys on bikes, there's going to be a competition.
Right.
I mean, it will never, ever happen where you can't get 5 guys on bikes and someone has to be the first one.
There's a race to the dinner line.
It's just whatever it is, to the dinner line, to the bathroom, to the starting line, whatever it is. And it's good. Yep. And I think that was really like, it was just so chill in the bivouacs, but then you could tell the guys were up for it when it came to the lineup. Leaving the bivouac,
How it should be.
And I think that's, and then, I mean, like I was watching a friend of mine, Travis, from Every Single Sunday. I was watching his video of him doing this ride with Ready to Ride Rentals down in Baja, riding through Catavina. And I'm like watching these areas that you guys have picked to run through, and I paused the video. I sent him a picture. I'm all like, right here, David Pearson, Garrett Pochet, bumping shoulders. Like neither of them knew they were coming to this Y, and that was across from Chapala, where you came off the dry lake bed, and it was a silt bed, and then it's 2 perfect trails, 2 perfect 2 tracks, and they both merge at the end. And neither of them, because of the bushes in the middle, knew they were on either side of it. But I'm standing at the finish line where they're gonna, you know, the final beep beep beep, you know, get the time. I'm watching these guys heading at me and going, this isn't good. This is not going to be good. And neither of them, that Honda on Garrett and then Dave on the KTM, there was nothing left in that throttle. There was absolutely nothing left in that motor either. And it's just like, it will always be a competitive event, no matter. And it will always, I think, you know, honestly, like the adventures, the Baja has a lot to offer. Sonora for me is new. Sonora, going to Sonora, seeing the terrain and all that stuff. And I'm not a fan of the sand dunes. I'll just straight up, nope.
That's a give or take. You either are or you're not.
Yeah, that's what I think too. You're either you're okay with it or you're not. But what I'm getting at is just it's such a beautiful event, and I don't use the term beautiful a lot, right? Unless I'm referring to the girlfriend, and but this year had a different vibe. It really did, and I
will tell you something on that. It's about the vibe. There's people talking and having fun at the Bivouac, but also together on the racetrack. Mm-hmm. So that also adds to that feeling that you are just eating a taco or something, and then you're riding. Then there's camaraderie on the track.
The best part that I get to see being out of the course is seeing that camaraderie between the riders. They're always somebody stopped. They're checking up on each other. They're making sure everybody's good. They're racing each other. It does not make a difference. Mm-hmm. Everybody's checking up on everybody out there, which is great to see. I'm out there, kind of on the podium on top, mm-hmm. sitting there, looking down at everybody, kind of like Simba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, watching over the kids.
Wow, this is incredible to see these guys going full bore. You're watching some of the best guys out there, and then all of a sudden they're stopped and they're making sure somebody's okay. They're good to go, thumbs up, and everybody's right on race again. Just like at the Bivouac.
Yeah.
It's everybody's cool until the dinner bell rings, and then who's the first guy there? Then once everybody's sitting at the dinner table, it's, hey, it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, exactly. It turns into a whole nother.
That's right, whole other atmosphere. No more race.
I think that also adds that everyone there knows how remote we are, how far in the middle of everywhere we are. So you don't want to be that guy there with something. So you need to ask them because they know that it could be you, and they also know that they're super safe and everything, but they know how lonely places we go.
Yeah, and so that, I want to talk about that with you is the decision on Catavina and the hotel and the relationship that you guys have formed with them. Tell the area. I mean, you guys have spent a ton of time in the Catavina area. Was there a particular reason as okay, you know what, we're gonna pick Catavina as the focal point of this year's rally?
Well, no, I guess that when
this is from Mauricio. I'll let him take it. There's two big themes, and so you know what they are, Mauricio. There's two big answers to the question of why Catavina and how.
Well, I'll say my first one is we go so many times there, and it's beautiful. And how there's pristine and everything. I mean, we learned a lot when we did the Manifiesto de Impacto Ambiental, the ecology study. And we need to come here. We need to be more concentrated here. And that was why Catavina at the first. But moving down to San Quintin as let's call it the center of the start of the finish, it's because of tourism, the bringing people there. And not only in Ensenada, because Ensenada already has their thing going on. So San Quintin needs more of tourism and support. So also the chaos from Ensenada to San Quintin with all the Bivouac circus, I'll call it, with support vehicles and everything, it just doesn't make much sense. So San Quintin, getting there, relaxed by the beach, that also adds to the good vibe. So tourism, to the pristine areas, and the friends that we have down there.
Bingo. Yeah. So it's the relationships that we started in 2015 and that Mauricio has insulated through his other businesses, Lost in Baja, and namely Lost in Baja is that's the secret. And so the thing is we have really strong relationships at the hotels and the management and the ownership. And then also in the municipal offices of San Quintin, which is now its own municipality. And so, I mean, I don't want to answer the question for Mauricio, but Catavina is a magic special place, and we're going back there. And so people that if you raced with us before, I promise you that you're not going to be bored with the next stages. The stages are going to have similar start areas. We have start zones and finish zones that we can use it 20 times, but it's only the first couple of miles, the first couple of kilometers, and then it all gets scrambled and mixed around. And so, and then the other thing he mentioned was the the impact study or the environmental impact study that we conducted. We have a 5-year permit on that. I think we have another year left with our extensions of having skipped a couple of years. But that is the reason that we're down there and we can focus there. Now, the benefit of having all of the stages down below El Rosario is there's less gates, there's less fences, and there's less possibilities for blockage. And, up north, around Ojos Negros, there's head-on collisions, there's traffic, spectators getting hurt and killed, and there's ranchers, and there's other weird stuff going on up north where it's not conducive, for doing this thing. So I think Mao, the boss, it will guide us for next year is to develop, and we'll begin development in 1 month, beginning of December.
There's something to pay to have. I mean, there's no communications. So we have no cell service. We have nothing. So we need to rely on the latest technology from satellite phone stores. And thank you, Elon, again with the Starlinks, because there's nothing around. So that also adds to the magic, and also adds to the camaraderie, because they're not on the phone all the time or anything, because there's nothing. Nobody can pick up their phone or anything. So also being there is like a retreat for rally, doing the rally heaven. Yeah. It's just so beautiful.
And I mean in the terrain, and I mean and what better spot too, because I remember seeing the surveys, and it was always kind of the same, we could do without Ensenada because it's always a kind of a drag to get out of town and all that stuff. Not to downplay Ensenada, right? Ensenada, the capital of off-road and all of that, but it was always Catavina that had the highest marks.
For food and for bivouac ambiance and all that stuff.
It's like...
for somebody who's been to Baja his entire life and absolutely love and am passionate about Baja, I love Ensenada as the truest... And knowing all of Mexico as well as I do, Ensenada is such a true Mexican town for being as north as it is. A lot of people in the south of Mexico don't consider a lot of areas in the north of Mexico to really be kind of a true Mexico. Kind of like a lot of Americans don't consider California to be, which I'm one of them, and I agree with them. It's Mexico has this it's a very different country in the middle and south. And when you get to the north, it starts bleeding into something else. But I got to tell you, in Baja, what happens, Ensenada being as magical town as it is, really, if you want to enjoy it as a rider, you need to start in San Quintin and go from San Quintin south. Because that's when things open up. Or you're dealing with Monday to Friday traffic all over the weekends as well. So it's just a spectacular thing. And Catavina also its own everything. It is its own everything down there. It's such an impressive place.
I will add to the success is that when you are the Baja Rally, you're going to get fuel in the middle of nowhere. You have moto medics behind you, which they are great. You have Danny as a SWIP. We have a helicopter on the ground waiting for a call. We have paramedics on the highway with ambulances, and then we have everything. So you being able to ride is not something that you can do any weekend. It needs time and money so you can have it. So you're a caterer on a safe route in heaven.
Yeah.
And that word is getting out. So people are going home and they're telling their spouse or their coworker or their partner. The partner of someone is like, dude, every time you go racing, you might die, you might get hurt, you might be out of work, and you're going to put me in a bad spot. Well, they can go home and tell them, look at these pictures of the moto medics, and there was definitely, a ton of medical support there. We, in this edition of the rally, something that we kept really underground and we kept really tight, lips about is we had 2 people there participating in the race that on any other day they can't do that. So it's a guy, a man and a woman were there. Charlie Siniwan, Carlos Garcia, we can tell you that he was there. And what it is this guy has 1.4 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He's a round the world travel blogger. Been riding for BMW for about 11 years. And he spent a week, and he just left BMW. Basically, the day that our rally started was his first day on Ducati. but he was riding a blank bike, like just a skinny bike.
Racer X.
Yeah, he was riding basically a skinny
Racer X.
bike, a 500cc rally light. The reason I wanted to bring him up is that the woman that was with him, we're not really able to disclose her yet, but both of these two people get recognized wherever they go. If this woman is just walking around in the U.S. at a shopping center, someone's going to come up to her and ask her for a picture. Charlie goes into the airport in Tijuana. I was with him. We had 4 different people yelling his name out, Charlie, Charlie, and selfie, picture. And these are like movie star, rock star people, and no exaggeration. They're super recognizable. You walk in Walmart, how many times did you get recognized in there? Oh, just twice. Take them to a restaurant, so on and so forth. But these two people, you weren't there for the third night or the fourth night, Victor, but they're sitting in the crowd and they're just loving being just a regular person next to these other people. And both Charlie and the woman, on their own, they travel alone around the world. She's been at it for 5 years. He's been at it for 12. And they live these certain weird lives. But for 1 week, we gave them this gift that they're sitting among racers in Baja Rally, and nobody's giving them extra attention. No one's, they
completely anonymous.
They kind of give them a little extra attention in the pits. I've never seen so many guys crowd around this woman. I can't wait until she comes out and she makes it public about like what she did and how she did it. It's one of the more dramatic stories, but
it's how they are that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, it's incredible. How they are, and so their content comes out. None of it is contrived. If they do a story about Baja Rally and their experience at Baja Rally, it's 100% them just sharing openly. But we won't see any of that for at least 5 weeks, 6 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not like we could afford it anyways.
Right. To produce or to
to do all that. I mean, it's crazy the
Steven
price
Spielberg
tag
style.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very interesting, right? So I remember, this is kind of story from the past. So I remember when I used to DJ, and there was other DJs that we would share the night, and they would do all that stuff, and I do the drinking, the this, the that, the other, and I always told them, you never know who's listening in the crowd. You never know who that is leaning up against the wall. You never know if that's the club owner, if that's the partner, if that's his best friend, if that's
or Ice-T,
whatever it is. You never know who's watching.
Right.
So the moral is you never know who's listening when you're talking. Well, you have a new fan in the one of the two characters that you're mentioning, and from my understanding is like it's Rally Raid. He's now, well, I gave away who it is, but he's
Charlie,
now Charlie is hooked, and it's like one more victim.
Yes.
One more victim to the Rally Raid bug.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's amazing to see that, because here's a guy that's been lost for 12 years.
Yeah, 13 years.
13 years. Been lost.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Where do I feel like going today? Because I mean that's something that's said in Rally.
Yeah.
Honestly, once you're past the first note, you're lost.
Yeah.
You're 100 meters from the start. You have no idea where you're going.
That's right.
Same with him traveling. You're out there. And that's what he does. I mean, he's out there and all that. But for him to say, you know what? I picked this. I want to do this. And it's not about, he's not there to be in kill mode. He's not there to win a stage. No. He's there to get lost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but he certainly did kill. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Which blew us all away. I mean, wow.
Yeah, you can't bet against these guys. And so they ride. Way. So the woman, we're going to leave her anonymous. She is a very, very special human. And when she comes with her content, she had the same effect. She basically overcame huge obstacles to make it, to finish, and to get there in the first place. And, injuring herself, but persevering through really technical stages, getting to the end. And it's no small deal. I mean, it's a big deal for these guys. But on Charlie's thing, he and she, they lug around a lot of luggage and a lot of gear. And in his case, he was riding a BMW 850 GS for a long time, and then an 800 in the last year, but loaded with like 100 pounds worth of gear. It's like 100 with the bag weight and everything in there. They're carrying an extra 100 pounds, on their with everything all included. And so now you put them on little bikes, on skinny bikes.
I'm free.
In her case, she went up in cc's but down in total weight, and she crushed it. I mean, she killed it. When that content comes out, when the mask comes off of that thing, it's going to be pretty big.
Well, what happened the day she got the all stop? The day she got the all stop, and we came to her right up to that huge uphill. We had the moto medics hanging out with her because her tower was falling off. It was vibrating. She's like, guys, rip this thing off. I want to finish. And it was like, we were so inspired. I mean, it's just an incredible experience. I can't wait for her to come out. It's just going to be.
It's going to be also great for the rally industry, for all of it. Like, just those two guys, super followed. It will put the rally out there. So hopefully more people will get trapped and get stung by the rally bug.
And I mean, I want to add a second, because this, I mean, it's huge. They're not rally racers.
No,
they're not. First and foremost, they're not even. I know. So they're not even. They're adventure riders.
Right.
That's literally
Victor, if they were rally riders, nobody will know them. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing. And when people ask me, well, what's rally? I'm all like, look, it's the soccer of motorcycle racing, right? In the U.S., soccer is kind of football, but soccer's kind of That's the same thing here in the U.S. That's rally raid and soccer in the U.S. They're on the same level of being known. But the big thing there, and I think to highlight to me, is like, I mean, they have a huge following, and they're but it's the fact that they're adventure riders. They're not rally racers. It's not. I know Charlie was at. It's funny. We were sitting and he goes, "So you were at the rally school with me?" He pointed at me and looked, and I was like, "Yeah," but that's it. I mean, he's done that. I know he's done maybe some training with Poncho from DS Pro.
A little bit before the race, a few days before the race.
One day before the race, but that's it. That was it.
In his whole life, the only time he ever rode an enduro bike. 2 days at Baja Rally School 2017, 1 day with Poncho a year ago in 2021 with Poncho and I in La Paz, and then the week before the Baja Rally's only been on an enduro bike 3 times in his whole life. And they were taking it really seriously, more so than they really needed to, but they amazed their peers in the group, and they really earned
their wings.
Normal respect. So they earned basically in Mexico City, when I raced with Patrick Reyes in Coast to Coast, to get the respect of the Mexico City guys for a gringo. Oh, sure, you can kind of have you're never going to really earn that. But it's possible. If you're stopping, helping, if you're genuinely sincere, you're a good racer, and you're really selfless, they'll finally accept you. And I think that happened to me, and it shocked me. I was like, these guys are actually accepting me, into their little group.
Circle.
And they didn't tell me, they just showed me with Charlie and her, the woman, who's just, it'll be great when her name comes out. They earned the respect of the riders, not because they're famous people. No. And the thing is people talk about, influencer, this influencer. We're talking about the 2 biggest, most influential adventure bloggers on YouTube, period. So there's nobody else in the world on 2 wheels that has more attention than these 2 individuals, respectively.
Well, they wouldn't have earned anything if they would have gotten special attention. That's why they earned it from everybody, and so quickly, because they were just one of everybody else.
Yeah.
And that was so much fun to see and experience.
And it was important to them. One thing because the reason that they were anonymous isn't because they just wanted to just kind of be feel normal. It's a security issue. If we would have told people or leaked it out that Mrs. X or, Miss Racer X girl was coming, we named her and identified her. She said that of 1,000 or 2,000 people would come to Catavenia. And at first we thought, that would be great, wouldn't that be great?
Or no, not to Catavenia.
But and then
no, please no.
It's true. It is true. That's how many people want to come and shake their hand.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think it's like the perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go do this, and I'm just it's just gonna be me versus the rally.
Dive in,
and then let the cards do that. I mean, because there was some like I had some interaction and the rules in the introduction, and there was questions that were asked about certain rules and certain times. I go, well, this is the rule, and
right. If
it was her, if it was the next person, whoever it was, is the rules are the rules, period. And so that's what's nice. I'm sure for them, it was like it's kind of it's a break for them.
Right.
Nobody knows who the hell I am here, and that's where you get to see the genuine person that they are. But
right.
to me, I mean, at the end of it is, this isn't 6 rally schools, hundreds of kilometers of road book later, 2 years going to every riding school on how to ride an enduro bike.
No,
it was none of that. It was what you would say, what the people that listen to the show, because a lot of the people that listen to the show is that's the boat. They're adventure riders,
right.
like most. I consider myself an adventure rider. I'm just
right.
a rally enthusiast. I'm not a rally racer. And so to see that, like, there it is. Like, here it is on a silver platter. I can't wait for her content to come out, and I want to see Charlie's stuff so that, that's something that can be shared. Is like, look, this is all it took to get right there.
It's so
and go experience it,
because they both put this goal together. Like, I'm going to do the Baja Rally. I'm going to take a week off of my regular travel schedule and film and video production schedule, and I'm going to spend a whole week in Baja. I'll spend like a month getting ready for it and prepare for it. But I'm not going to go to every enduro school, every 6 different rally schools. I'm not going to, do every single thing under the sun to get there. But 6 days of Baja Rally is equivalent to having done all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like they wrapped, instead of having to go to every enduro school, around the country or around the hemisphere, what they sucked out of 6 days in Baja Rally, and the participants that were there and the staff that was there and the media that was there, they all see that. But the listeners and the people that have Baja Rally on their, on the tip of their tongue, or it's on their wish list, you didn't see, how that week, 6 days of Baja Rally is going to turn you into a machine. On the 7th day, when you're driving back towards your cubicle or towards your workspace, you're itching. You're just wishing that you could get back on. Your arms and your chest and all your muscles, your legs and hips, everything about your body is just, you're so tuned in, right? You're so conditioned. You're so ready for the next day. I don't know. It would be hard for some people. I know it's hard for us to go, after a week away from home, or in my case, 2 weeks, it's, you want to get back to the family and everything, but it's also a little bit bittersweet when you're
back to
leaving,
the city.
Back to the city.
Back to the city.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hear how they're great communicators. That's what they do for a living and everything. So I just want them to I want to learn from them how to explain easy what rally is. Because every time I go to meetings and everything, I need to start explaining the ranchers and the government officials and everyone trying to explain what the rally really is. And they don't get it. I mean, they're so used to the traditional off-road racing. So when they kind of understand everything, they're like, okay, sounds cool. So these 2 guys are going to help me to help to be able to transmit that message. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I mentioned in a previous episode, is that everybody that is involved, whether they're a volunteer, whether they're a racer, whether all of us, we're all ambassadors of the sport. I mean, obviously you guys are on another level, but everybody is an ambassador of the sport. That's, if you're an enthusiast, you understand it, or you participate, or you form part of the board, or you're one of the moto medics, or whatever it is. We're all ambassadors to it. But I think, Mauricio, you're right, is the hardest thing is, how do you explain it? Right? There's an example, Scotty, that you use a lot, is like, how do you explain landing on Mars? How do you, like, nobody really knows. You only have an idea.
Right. Ask Elon.
Yeah, I know, right?
Ask Elon how to explain
it's
that.
Like how I can relate to Darren Skilton's work. It's like to put stages together to mark the waypoints, to have the rally comp device clicking and pinging. And when it's all on his shoulders, there's only a few people in the world that knows what that's like.
Yeah.
And it's like I really empathize with anybody that's organizing a competitive rally and the responsibility that goes into it. And now that Mao and Danny have their hands on stage building and also on the responsibility part of it, there's things that they're kind of now responsible for. Yeah. So yeah, it is really hard to explain. And it'll be neat when Charlie does his explanation. It's in Spanish. I was going to say it's in Latin American, but he's speaking to such a big audience, and we're sure to get new rally participants in Argentina, in Colombia, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and the U.S. From this spin-off stuff that we expect to happen.
Yeah. And to kind of touch on what you were saying, about designing the course and all of that stuff. And I can see that when you go riding with a bunch of buddies, or when you guys, when you go and hit the trails and all of that stuff, it's like, hey, we're going to go up Otay Mountain. You already know all the roads.
Right.
But if you could imagine standing on top of Otay Mountain and looking out, or standing up on this mountain and then looking out on the landscape and no roads,
no idea where it's going to send me.
No, well, not only that, no, but I'm just talking from the creation standpoint of it.
Yeah.
Creating a stage is like, here is Mars. I'm on the highest peak on Mars right now.
Right. Nobody
knows this terrain. They've seen it, right? We've all seen pictures, but where do you go? Where do you send them? How do you draw this map that people will be able to navigate it? It really is a blank canvas, and it is very a road book. It's art, and
if you get lost in yourself, everybody else is going to get lost too.
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself into everybody's head.
But that's kind of the point, right? You want to go out and get lost.
A rally race thing, it's for grown men that can afford to not get lost, who intentionally get themselves lost for the purpose of finding their way back home, back to the thing. And so I tried to explain it when John Dykes passed away, and we memorialized him a year and a half ago. He passed away 2 years ago in a motorcycle head-on as a recreational guy. And, I wrote something for his wife. It's like, why do rally racers do what they're doing? It's grown-ass men, grown adult men and women that have the resources to not get lost, that go out and pay money to go out into a thing where they're getting themselves lost on purpose so that they can solve the puzzle, find their way back home, or in this case, to the finish line. There's there's so much good stuff that's in the future that's happening with rallies and making these events, and with our team and with our material that we have to work with the things that you're doing, Victor, with your podcasts and the way that you're attracting different people and involving different sponsors, and you have your hands in different things. You've made this big move from being a race director and being a helper into doing you're driving your own ship and creating your own thing, and you're creating more motion and emotion and storytelling and about everything having to do with rally. And it's really true. We need to all lift each other up and tell the stories, and the storytelling that comes out of and one story that comes to mind, Robert Mann has this thing called Kansas Rally Team, and he has this thing that he's involved with Scott Spears from Michael Stansfield, the Lake Mike Stansfield, and Luis Belastegui in Missouri. They brought Alex and Nick Bronner, and they brought out Jake, and they brought out Jordan Reed for mechanical stuff, and they brought out one of the Bronner's girlfriends. I forget what her name was.
Who helped us on the start line one day, by the way.
Yeah, I forget what her name is, but some rocket scientist, while they were down at Bay of LA on the marathon stage, someone came up with the idea, let's go fishing in the morning. and someone had this Jeremy, which was Tony Palandrani's guy, said, I got a connection with a pond guy. Let's get $100 each. We'll go out fishing in the morning. And they brought back like 70 pounds of yellowtail for everybody. And that story by itself is like, oh, we're going back to Bay of LA for sure. And you know what? The people that were on that fishing boat, I guarantee you, every single one of them will come back to the Baja Rally next year. Yeah. That was one of the best stories.
Plus, that will be a requirement from now on. Anytime anybody goes that's not riding, that goes on a special stage, has to go fishing while we're out on course.
Bring in tourism to the little towns again.
The rule book.
Yeah. And so that, I mean, and that's a great set.
Had you heard about that?
No, I hadn't heard about the fishing story.
What was her name? Anyone remember her name?
I
no.
have it on my phone. We're following each other
Emily.
on Instagram.
Emily.
Yes, Emily.
Nice.
Emily.
And so, I mean, that, and that's a great, like, you know, future forward, right? All right. So 2022 in the books, went off well, you know, like any motorsport event, you know, three
things that I want to bring up. Number one, I think that one of the big futures of rally is going to be women coming into this. Mm-hmm. I'm running mostly the Instagram account, and we've actually, I have contacted, and some have contacted me from Canada, mm-hmm. that are very big names in the riding industry up there. And I'm actually very impressed by how quickly they want to jump into the sport. Mm-hmm. Some of them have been seeing Steffi, who came from Mexico City, mm-hmm. and Mexico City and Steffi connection came from also 360 Sin Límites. Mm-hmm. And he having 360 Sin Límites come to our race for the first time this year was pretty epic, because we're really excited about bringing the not only Mexican but the Central and South American side of the sport up here. They have races down there. Mm-hmm. Everybody's heard of Baja, and everybody dreams of Baja. So I think those are, you know, three really big things between women coming into the sport, mm-hmm. which have all beyond impressed us with what they've done, with the ones that we've gotten to see just here at this rally. Yeah. Steffi did the same thing as Charlie and the other female guests that we had. Just rally school, showing up a little early as well before the race, and going to hit it with Scotty a little bit, and really prepping for the race and falling absolutely in love with rally. Somebody who's been racing her whole life, yeah. and had never even really heard much about rally, mm-hmm. and got completely, you know, bit by the bug now is outstanding. And then Central South America, we're getting a lot of hits from down there. And 360 Sin Límites and Edgar has a lot to do with that. You know, that's his audience, is Central and South America. Mm-hmm. And the guys from Mexico that know him absolutely love him. And he did a great job with us this year as well. It's really nice to have him along. Yeah. So
I think you're right. You know, I mean, I see it. I see the request, the more information, the how do you get into it, and mm-hmm. that kind of stuff. So I think that rally is most definitely on a growth.
Yes.
You know, on a growth cycle, especially here in North America, mm-hmm. and everywhere else. But ARO. But yeah, I mean, with ARO, with the 11 riders headed over there, you know, it's all good things. Right. It's still my impression. It was a little bit more difficult to tell at Sonora Rally, like exactly who everybody was a rookie, because they don't really have a classification for it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But again, I go back to with Baja Rally, I'm still just really impressed with, 14 guys, 14 people that qualify for a rally rookie class.
Yes.
Is absolutely huge. Most of them, or a lot of them, who've probably never ridden Baja and got to experience that and experience the hotels and the hard work that you guys have put together to make it happen. And so, in talking about that and thinking about that. So next year, what, Mauricio, I mean, what do you, any tricks up your sleeve? Are you guys, are there any plans, like things you guys want to do?
There's obviously there's things to improve. But overall, like the one thing that we focus the most is the safety. Mm-hmm. But for sure we can offer way more. I mean, there is like a playground down there, so we like to play, and I think we're gonna get maybe to be convinced a 7-year rally. There's ideas of opening different classes. I have an idea that I need to pitch into the team about how can we. Well, I cannot tell you right now, but there's things that we will improve for sure. But overall, we want the the hardest thing to do, and the one that I want to focus is into keeping the vibe as good as it was or better. Mm-hmm. So if we can nail that, all the rest, it will be the cycle. Yeah, if they're like that, it's because we did a great job. So we need to improve those milestones.
And I can tell you, and I can tell this because I'm going to share this experience from the side of the table that I was at this past week at the other event at Sonora Rally. And yeah, the announcement came out, right? The FIM, it's huge news, right? Huge. But the first thing that I heard from the racer side of it wasn't necessarily it was because with the FIM, there's a price tag, there's other qualifying factors, things like that has to end on top of the competition. But what Mauricio just said was very important to the participants was the vibe. I will say that Darren was very proactive and like, hey, yeah, we're announcing this, but my first concern is that vibe.
Keep the soul
of it. And so, Mao, what you're saying, I mean, that's absolutely huge, and that everybody's in agreement is like, you know what? No. It's the vibe of this event, and which, like, I got to say is, I mean, hats off, because this year, seeing it from the outside and looking in and just how it felt at the Bivouac. I was only there, a couple days, but just seeing that, it's like that was very important. And
it's the host, it's the vibe of Catavina. October 1st through the 7th. So we got to make sure we're talking about the future next year.
2023.
2023. It's October 1st through the 7th. It's the full first week of October. And 6 days, going to be the exact same setup, starting at San Quintin, using 4 nights at Catavina, a marathon stage going back and forth to Bay of LA. And trust me, you're going to get lost. If you think you're going to figure out how we're getting to and from, we have the ticket and the time and the resources now to go in and fully develop new routes. And there's a couple of reasons, and they're not all just from the storm. There's a couple of reasons that we had to change our inbound route into Bay of LA and to shorten it. And that was that these human beings already had their life pretty much affected, by the big hurricane, but they were also affected with the Nora 1000. And the way that Nora 1000 went through the San Borja and Nuevo Rosarito area, which was bitchin' from the navigating standpoint, but there's some people that just in races and tours in general that in a regular week or a couple weeks out of the year, they're going to get affected by groups coming through, negatively affected.
Yes.
Okay, it's noise, it's dust, it's just traffic that's unnecessary. But doing it right after the hurricane, where people have lost cows, they've lost animals, they're dead, and they've also lost a lot of like their driveway, and their fence is all gone, and it was just. We didn't have the heart to basically, we could get away with it, but there was I was alone down there, checking the damage and making sure it was safe, and where I just say, screw it, we're going to skip this till next year.
Yeah.
And we were able to make it so it still worked. Hats off and thanks to, every single person that ever put their hands on this particular event. The future is bright because of Mauricio and Danny and Matt and the whole safety team, and things like our partners with Mike Johnson.
Motomedics.
Motomedics, Sat Phone Store, Satellite Phone Store, Symbiosis, Health. The guys that basically man the safety side of our deal. It's exciting. And I mean, this week with Sonora having a good event and also the big news of FIM getting involved, it's a good time. And, cheers.
Yeah.
And hanging up Patrick's picture up in Catavina was an absolute special moment. We actually, Scotty called everybody out to the middle of the field, to the bivouac, and we saw the International Space Station go over our heads that night, and that was a special moment that we all lived together with Patrick.
So we have this guy, Patrick Tardo, who was with me for 7 years. he was heart and soul of the rally. Really, older guy, 65, looked 50, and had been through all the highs and lows of Baja Rally since the very first day. And he passed away in 2000, earlier this year in 2022, but got sick in 2020, and fought it out for a year and a half, and we were able to hang him up in the. I don't think you were there for it.
No, I wasn't, but I saw the
Santa Maria
yeah,
Hotel.
we were able to do a little ceremony, and then also his family, his surviving spouse Lisa, and his kids put together several $1,000s and donated it to all of the moto medics to decide and vote for the most Patrick-like moto medic, or Patrick-like, the person that was most like Patrick, that was selfless, that was a team player, that could eat the dirt, that could do it. And so that was another big highlight, from the event that only happens once. And it's nice for us to be able to recognize Patrick, on the show with you.
Yeah,
because you knew him.
Yeah, I did, and he was the guy that he was a calming force. He was the living embodiment of no bad days.
Yeah, when one was really needed.
When one was really needed, and
Best hug in the world.
Yeah, and so it was really to hear what everything that he struggled. It was like there's a very long list of people that you would wish that upon. Before his name would come up on that list. And it's unfortunate, that he's no longer with us physically, because I know his ass is down there.
Yep.
He's not, there is no way he's not down there looking over everybody.
It's a very personal thing.
Yeah. And so,
very with us,
and he, it's just, you will not be able to have Baja Rally without, the remembrance, or, remembering, Patrick and everything that he contributed and did for the rally. He was absolutely huge. And so, he's still there, just not physically. And I, and I think that's really cool, and I think that maybe, future forward, going forward and having that, doing some kind of a recognition or something like that from him, that to the Moto Medic teams, because it is a very important thing. It's a very important role.
Absolutely.
And I've seen
they're kicking ass right now too. They've done such a great job, the Moto Medics.
Yeah. And there's, I haven't done, and I'll leave some of the details for it, but party to a situation where a rider goes down and the next rider coming up is a trained medic. I don't know that a lot of people understand the importance of that. And this was in competition, and this was by chance, because it could have been any other rider behind them.
Right.
The fact that it was it happened to be a trained medic,
right,
changes the outcome,
right,
very quickly. And maybe nothing would have gone wrong. The problem is when it doesn't, when it does go wrong.
It does go wrong, yeah.
And that's the gap. That's what the Moto Medics fill.
Oh, the riders ride with so much more confidence, and they say it.
Yeah.
Like, wow, they see these halos flying around out there.
Yeah.
That makes them feel a lot more comfortable because they have some halos who can actually keep up with them.
Yeah, exactly. So. They're there to collect them when they, hit the deck.
That's right.
It's going to happen. One way or another, you're going to, whether it's a dumb fall at 2 miles an hour or whether you were sending it and, went big, it's nice to have that confidence. And I will say, I can't, you can't give the close course disclaimer on this because, you're showing me, but either way, when you're riding remote, they're there for the stuff that you couldn't, handle. Nobody's out there twisting the throttle for you. You shouldn't be riding in over your head. Skylar said it at the riders meeting at this past event. And I've talked about it before. It's like, hey, if you thought you were going to step it up and ride that much faster, well, you should have been riding that fast anyway. You'd be winning the event by now.
Right.
And so I think that's very important. You guys choose these very remote locations, go into these masterpiece of trails and connect all these dots. You have to remember that you're a rider in the middle of nowhere and it's the Wild West and you're already lost. So
we've got to talk about Paul Neff and the number 4, Paul Neff and the airbag going off. And so stage 5, second to last stage, early in the stage, about kilometer 30, And for the night before and the morning of, I started them and I went through one by one. This is where we started the rookies in the first position. They went in the first wave, and then we started the pros and Rally 1 in the second wave. And we told and the dust had cleared. We gave like 30 minutes from the last rookie to leave, and then the first pros come in. Mm-hmm. Paul Neff crashed, he thinks 80, 90 miles an hour, air towards the high side of that. He's a 35-year-old, ISDE guy. He's not a triathlon, like a elite, athlete in that sense, mm-hmm. but he's a badass pro. And he crashed his balls off at speed and had that airbag launch. We got photos of him that haven't been released yet, where his climb jersey looks like it went through a cheese grater. I mean, it's so scrapped up, and this guy tumbled and rolled. And when they found him, Dave Pearson found him. David, thanks for finding him, and he was there. But then, okay, we got you. You're going to be okay. Okay, let's go look for the bike. Mm-hmm. They can't. The bike's like way off in the distance, and it's like they didn't. Okay, is it over there? Where's the bike? And this airbag went off, and you brought it to my attention, and Alpine Stars is the manufacturer. And so we reach out to our media contact at Alpine Stars. This is a week after the event, and, they hadn't even heard of it. They didn't know that this happened. Right. But he just saw the posts and the exchanges that you were doing, Danny, on Instagram, I guess, where they saw the video of Paul saying, before I crashed with this, I wasn't really a believer. Now I really am a big believer in the airbag. And so we've learned that the one that you can buy, there's one that you can buy. Yeah. There's a vest that you can buy, like the Air 5, but it's not the same algorithm. It's not designed for high-speed rally racing. The ones that they're using in MotoGP that are required, the ones that they're using in the Dakar, the only way, this is from Alpine Stars, the only way you can purchase that one in Italy is if you are registered and logged for the Dakar Rally. Yeah. You can have $1 million right now and try to go to Italy and buy that Dakar Alpine Stars airbag that has the algorithm that is going to, before you hit the ground the first time, it's going to deploy. And I guess the shock of once you leave the bike or fly in the air, or something happens with the algorithm, the difference between the models is entirely the algorithm. Yeah. This is the U.S. media guy, Heath Coffran at Alpine Stars, explaining this to me really carefully on the phone. Hey, it would be nice if you could buy one of those. Yeah, you can't. The only way, they're not commercially available to racers yet, maybe a year or two, but the ones that you can buy are not the ones you should be wearing in this race. They're more for casual dirt biking and casual off-road motorcycle riding. And they are going to, when they deploy or when they explode or the airbag deploys, is not going to be at the right time. I think the ones in MotoGP, they're going off while the guy's in midair before they land. Like if they're high siding and they change their thing, like that G-force thing, it's going to pop it as they're as they're high siding, flying into the air, and so it's already inflated before they hit the ground the first time. Yeah. And I don't think the off-road ones are. I think it's going to be you're going to hit the ground first and then it's going to pop. Which I'll take anything, but
I mean at that point, it's better. It's just extra safety equipment, and I think. And they're doing something, because I know from when Skyler crashed at the last Dakar that sent him home on that crash, they had the telemetry from it. They knew how hard he hit. Wow. And they knew how, so that those things have to be smart. And what you're saying is not surprising. It has to be tuned differently, because these guys, especially those guys up top, they're riding on the edge. They don't, the things that I've learned recently about how they test rally bikes and how they, what they're after is like, no, this is too rough. We need to go faster. Right. They're not looking for testing. So the suspension that you see, that's the secret sauce right now. It's tuned for speed. It's not tuned for whoops. Right. And when we say speed, is that this bike can be at its max and feel like nothing's going on.
And absorb a square edge or a right angle curve of 18 inches or like 12 inches.
Yeah, without flinching. And or the count, that was the big one. I remember we were talking to Skylar this weekend about, or this past week, about the dunes, right? You know, how do the dunes compare? I asked him, how do these dunes compare to Dakar? And he goes, well, size-wise, but the problem is you don't get a break in Sonora. There's camel grass in between. So you're either dodging camel grass or you're climbing a big ass hill.
Right.
And so that's the varying terrain. I honestly think that I feel like there's probably higher speed, cleaner sections in Baja for these factory bikes to go testing than there is maybe in Sonora. I don't know the terrain too well in Sonora, but I know there's fast.
I know Sonora very well. That's where I'm from. And there's much more speed to do out here.
Yeah. On the Baja Peninsula.
It's beautiful over there. Sonora's obviously incredible. Yeah. But yeah, there's a big difference. The speed and how wide open Baja is what makes Baja so original, other than it's just how it stuns you look-wise.
This time in this particular rally, I got a chance to look from a high perspective at a couple of, I wanted to be at a highway crossing, at a stop, beep, 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 to really be there for the first couple of guys. And I did this on a few different days to just make sure it was really smooth, so that there's no issue with where they're stopping and can they see and is it dangerous. And while I was there, I could see the difference of a fast guy and then the regular guys. And there is a huge difference. You can hear the fast guys, you can see them from a high point, that they're just on a different level. Like the fast guys would mean Tony Palangiani, Dave Pearson, Paul Neff, and
the brothers.
Mike Johnson, the brothers, just to name a couple it's just a night and day between what they're doing. They're raping the throttle. I mean, they're really squeezing it, the juice. And then the other guys that are more like us, more like their disability insurance might not pay out for a competitive event. And what they're doing is they're just really just having fun, and they're just want to get through the thing. There's a big difference. And it's like, that's where things are going to, where things change in the growth format is. Are we going to get more growth from the super fast guys? And then Mao gets his ears perk up, because then that's a safety, way more of like, got to put way more attention on the safety aspect and ramping that up than if it's more like rally tourism. There's places in Europe like the Hellas Rally and like Baja Rally, Sonora Rally, where, half the field at least is rally tourism. And which is the bread and butter. I mean, if it's half the field, that's an important part.
Did you want to mention day 5? You remember you flipped the start.
Yeah, we did mention that a little bit. It was just a test to see what that would do to the overalls. And so we took the rookies, all 14 of them, including Brett Fox, which you should probably mention for a minute, the Triumph Tiger guy, who I would bet against the Tiger 10 out of 10 times of finishing. And I'm going to win that bet like 6 or 7 times. So I'll be ahead of the game. But the rider is what made the difference. So it's a rider, prepped the bike good. Brett Fox, this guy, number 44, I think was his number. And he blew minds. I mean, he blew minds. But the important part of what you were talking about, starting the rookies first on day 5, was an experiment. And what it wanted to see was, could the slowest rookie stay ahead of the fastest pro? The answer is no. But the woman adventure influencer person that came, very gnarly person, gnarly, that person stayed in front of Mike Johnson. So she was like one of the like slower among the rookies that took off in the first pack, that stayed ahead of the winner, Mike Johnson, who won the stage, I believe. No, second. But, she didn't stay ahead of the Bronner kid. But that's why we did that little experiment, and it didn't cause a problem. And we might not do that again. Yeah. There might not be a reason to do that again, but if it would be more like for the navigation part.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it gives them, I mean, and those that have been listening to the show for a long time, they know is that leading out is the hardest thing you can do. The further back you are in the pack, the easier of a time you can have. Now, while it's easier because you don't maybe have to navigate as much, but it's also easy to get lost in your own road book because you weren't keeping up with the notes.
Right.
And so there's, there's some difference. And I agree. I think that actually every once in a while needs to happen, right? Mix it up and only it's
they loved it.
Yeah. It's like kicking them out of the nest,
Right. Right.
Throwing them out, throwing them overboard, and just get out and just do it and show that you can do it. And I mean, and that's a testament to that. The fact that guys, seasoned navigators, seasoned competitors, if you're able to see that would be the thing. I mean, I remember driving race cars and I picked my guy in the field. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I'm going to drive my race. But my goal is to not let this person catch. I know they're going to catch me. There is no effing question about it. They're going to catch me. But I'm going to try and get here. Right. I'm going to try and go as far as I can before they catch me. And I think that it issues that challenge.
Right.
And so I think that with the rookies, with everybody that's coming up, and now some graduates that you guys have into Rally 1 because now they've won and they've done their. None of them are rookies. They're not rookies anymore. So that was my challenge to myself. The challenge to myself is always when I remember racing was it's like, okay, this is the guy I got to see how long I can stay ahead of. So I'm going to issue a challenge.
I got a challenge right here. You're the new rookie. You're racing next year.
Oh man, that'll be interesting. But so
public announcement.
Quit backpedaling, asshat. Get with the program. Changing the subject. No.
So that means that you need to do the first school.
So this goes in line with my challenge. So here's my challenge to the Baja Rally organization. October 1st through 7th, 6 days again, 6-day challenge. My challenge to the Baja Rally organization is give us the recipe. Provide us a date with the schools or with a school that's going to happen, and give myself and the listeners, give us the recipe to get to a rally, to get to the Baja Rally, right? It's going to take a school. It's going to probably take some, resources of fly and ride. It's going to, how to prepare, Mauricio, logistically, what do you need? What does that look like? What does it taste like, smell like, feel like? Give us the recipe.
And I believe Steffi's actually working on putting that recipe together.
Do you want that now, or do you want that in the future?
Ooh. Wow. Nice. But that's good. No, I
it should be on our website.
It should be on the website. Let's make,
Number one, ask the wife or the husband.
Yeah, first of all, get your sponsorship with Visa or MasterCard. The Visa and MasterCard sponsorships are actually pretty cool. The only thing that sucks is the interest rate associated with that sponsorship.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
But
yeah, it's still a game. It changes your life. I mean, it changes us every year we do it. For sure, it changes the life of every rider. I mean, it's priceless.
Yeah. I believe that. I mean, and I'll never forget the pilot from Israel with his son.
Yeah.
In the UTV. Stopping and taking pictures and doing all that stuff.
Yep.
Swimming with the UTV.
Yeah. I mean, it does not get any better than that. That's what this sport is about. And so the goal is that, there's no more excuses. Somebody's going to hold you by the hand. I mean, virtually hold you by the hand.
Right.
Here it is.
I think Charlie and his friend, the woman, when they tell their story, their own recipe comes out in it. But you're right on spot. So that we accept the challenge, and it's a good clue for us to, as we prime the website for what we expect to be a demand for the school. School for sure. We're doing a school in the third week of May. But for people that wanted extra training for Sonora or rookies going into the next Sonora, we'll do at least one training in February. Wait for the Dakar to be over, and we're going to do a 3-day training in February. We'll announce that shortly, and then likely in March. A second training in March or early April. So we plan to do 3 before the end of May, all the same format at San Quintin, using the same stages and the same proven method where we give the road books out to the rookies before they come. We let them do 3 stages where they have a chaperone follow them. Then we do the questions and answers like you talked about.
Yeah, I think that, you know, for sure, seeing that and then seeing the ARO guys there and helping, I think that recipe, that format and how you guys organized it worked perfect. Yeah. Because you got rid of the hardest part, the part that, and this isn't to say, right, it's just like when you don't know what to expect, you don't know what to ask.
Right.
Yeah, it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
Go be sitting in the classroom. I just want to go do it. I've already read all the stuff. Let's talk about the ARO guys. So you've got Kyle McCoy, Jim Pearson, Dave Pearson, Mo Hart, and Paul Neff. You got 5 dudes, and then plus you got Ace Nielsen also going over there. And then there's one other. It's slipping my mind right now.
Jacob Argybright.
Jacob Argybright.
Jacob Argybright.
And so those 5 guys that are doing the Malimoto thing, you know, I asked the Alpine Stars, you know, like North American media guy, he had no idea what they were. He didn't know Paul Neff was, and he didn't. Have you heard about the ARO guys? No, what is that? What is ARO? Is that like the new plumbing thing or something? He had no clue. Yeah, it's the Malimoto. They're all entered in the Dakar. Oh yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't even know any Americans. It's hard it's hard for those guys to have a lot of pre-Dakar rally, you know, originals by Motul, you know, Malimoto like hype. We all know about it. The insiders of rally, we all know about the ARO. But let me tell you, if one of them finishes or all 5 of them finish, okay, like you're going to go bet at Vegas. There's not a betting line for it, but you put $100 that all 5 finish, you're going to win like 40 or 50 grand. Okay, the odds of all of them finishing Malimoto, super low.
Yeah.
But if you happen to have that scenario happen where 4 of them finish or all 5 of them finish the thing, and if you think about it, because they can help each other, and there's also wiggle room at ASO, like they've let a few people go get a shock from the KTM guy and bring it over. It's not super duper like lockdown like Berlin, you know, in that little bivouac area. So I understand there's some gray area there. But if they do succeed, if they're really successful over there, then you're going to hear all about it.
Yeah.
Then you're going to hear, it'll start to like permeate, it'll seep through.
Yeah.
And it'll get out. And I think more people that are in the regular off-road industry will hear and talk about it.
And God, they're a great team.
They
just know how to work well together, period.
Yeah.
Those guys just have the respect that they have for each other, and just the way they're just a kind of a fine-tuned machine. It's really nice to see them roll.
And that's the way it hatched. That's kind of how the whole thing kind of hatched. You know, the whole idea, as you know. So, you know, what's the latest on those guys?
Well, they just wrapped up. You know, you had it was Mo, Dave Pearson, Jim Pearson made a guest appearance there, but was sweeping, and then
Paul's out of the woods Paul Neff's out of the woods with his neck.
Very lucky with that, yeah. And so I mean, I think they're ready. I saw a press release today that it's like it's starting to get into that. You know, okay, we're really winding down the months and quick, and it seems, you know, David Pearson, saw him down there, spent a little more time with him and talking and just seeing how it was going. Saw Mo Hart as well, but you know, Dave Pearson looking in shape. He looks like he's ready to go already. You know, he's next.
Game day.
Yeah, exactly.
He's game face, game day, ready to go.
Yeah, everybody's there. Kyle, you know, same thing. Kyle McCoy was down there at the event, and you know, and just seeing him, like everybody is focused but relaxed. Right. You know, at least outside looking in, you wouldn't know that these guys are literally months away from participating in one of the biggest challenges of their life.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It does not, you don't really see that. Like, you don't see that worried look. They're focused on the event. You know, their motto, right? Relentless forward momentum. They're already on the next thing. I'm just here, you know, going through the motions and just focused. And so it's really cool to see that. And like I told him, I'm going, hey, I understand there's a 50% attrition rate. Let the other 50% of the field take that. You know, I want to see all of you guys, you know, and I think that they've given themselves the best chance. They work well together, you know, as a team. And I would expect and that I would hope, because you can help each other as Malamoto team, you can help each other. So I think that it's, you know what, if one of them is struggling, it's up to them to help pick up, you know, as somebody, you know what, I got your air filters today. Or I got your, you know, it's all these little things that I think that there's this dynamic that they can focus and play off of each other to help ensure that, hey, you know what, everybody's going to be on that podium.
The secret is not crashing, and the secret is the physical health.
Yeah.
So basically, the mechanical part, they can all solve it collectively. You know, they should be able to solve a mechanical collectively for each other. But if someone mess up their arm, there's nothing you can do. You can't kiss the guy, sana sana colita de rana.
Yeah, and off you go. You know, it's going to be good. Yeah, the arnica on there or whatever. You know, it's not going to. You know, and that's the thing. You know, as you think about like all of the riders. You know, well, Kyle's been there before, so he's done that. You know, that's not a thing. Dave Pearson, you know, hell of a rider. I mean, he's done this. So, you know, Mohart. I you know, my thing with Mohart is that, you know, he's a very good rider but knows where his limits are, and I think that that's very, very important as a rider, and especially on a
their maturity level
in an event like this. You know, Jim Pearson, same thing. You know, the both Pearson brothers, you know, they can both be quick, and sometimes you got a little bit of that, you know, the red cape to the bull, and then they can, you know, but I think they understand the mission at hand, you know, and I think that the focus is there. I'm seeing it, the preparation, the seriousness, I'm seeing it. So I think they've set themselves up. You know, I think that everybody has their, you know, their mechanical, you know, so where one has a weakness, the other has a strength for that.
Right.
And I think that's the best, you know.
That feeds so well to what they're about to do.
Yeah. And I mean, it was funny. It was something I caught him. I was doing a bivouac walk at this last event in Sonora, and I was, you know, I stopped and talking. I was recording, and I'll put the video up later. But you know, something it hit it right on the head. Is, you know, Paul Neff. He's a riding coach. So what better, you know, going into an event like this, you've got somebody that's on the team that can help you improve your skill, help you conserve energy.
Right.
Because I have not heard anybody ever say that the Dakar was a sprint race. Even the top guys, even the guys that hang those bikes way out there, they've never said that it was a sprint race. It may look like it on TV to us watching from afar.
Because that's what they're shooting.
That's what they're shooting, you know. So I have high hopes, you know, knock on wood, that they keep it together. They pull their, you know, everybody pulls together when they need it the most, when one of them is struggling. And I really want to see that. And I agree with you, Scotty, that if it goes down and you get all 5 riders across the line, Rally Raid, they're going to come back to a different world of Rally Raid in North America, is what I think is going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's my, you know, I hope that's the prediction. Hopefully I'm spot on. And, you know, I think there's a lot of people on this side of the pond that are going to be rooting from the home team. So.
Absolutely. And we got to spread the word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Get those rookies in there.
Yep. So now, what do we got? Are you still awake?
I am. I'm just thinking on that. I was thinking on what will be the challenge for next year. And on a way is, we need to have a trip. We can triple the number, we can double the number, but we need to maintain the happy and the safety and the event. That's I mean, it's going to be a great event. I'm looking forward. I want to go start doing the courses. So it's been only 2 weeks, but I'm ready to start it.
Good.
That's good.
We're never ready to stop.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true. Very good.
And thanks to the riders for making it such an incredible event. There wasn't a day that everybody wasn't all smiles and happy, and even on the bad days, or not there weren't bad days for anybody particular who might have had a bad hour or a bad few hours. They were on top of just staying positive and happy and focused on what we were doing down there.
Yeah.
That was great as far as being part of the staff. It's just really nice to get that energy from them.
It's super uncommon to have, if you had 28 starters, and it's kind of been like one of our averages, but to have them all finish, except for Chris Tavener.
Chris Tavener.
Big shout to Chris.
He started, got to basically finish the last day.
Yeah.
And this guy, Brett Fox, Revit, team rider on Revit, and also, riding the Triumph 900 Tiger. The Tiger Triumph, sorry Triumph, but it's not really a off-road race bike. I mean, let's just get real. It's not. But he's made it into one. And I guess the
now he
Tiger
does.
800 was a totally different ball game. But his thing, very impressive guy. This guy's ripped. He's just like made of meat, and his training in Colorado at 9,000 feet, living and training 9,000 feet, and you come down to sea level, you're just like a monster. But this guy, his humility and he knows he's badass. He's like kind of like Kyle McCoy, Mr. Ultra Marathon triathlon guy.
Yeah.
Brett Fox was, he turned a lot of heads, and he's the kind of guy that like could get sponsored on, like a B-level, ride. I mean, like his, he was really impressive. And the thing is that it takes someone special to bring a bike like that, and I mean, I don't really want to dog on the brand or anything, but it's not an off-road racing bike. I mean, they made it like that for the Nora. Mark Vanscourt did a project with a couple of Tigers, all modified. But this guy, I think of all the stories, he's probably like one of the big standouts.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I mean, and I was, working at BMW. I always remember with the Tigers, we always call it was the joint custody bike. It was between you and the dealership. And that was just the deal. It was always in the shop for something. And so
I thought it was between you and the wife.
Oh yeah, well no.
Oh
Damn. So. But no, I mean, and that was the thing, and so yeah, they weren't necessarily known to be the most reliable bike, and that was just riding them on the street. But he's Brett's taken it out in the middle of nowhere twice, dropped it off 3 times, and then rode it back home again.
Spent
And
6 hours total changing tires.
Yeah, I mean, and so I agree, and that was he doesn't know this, and if he listens to the show, he'll find out now. But there's talks in the Bivouac, like people want to know, like what's the
secret
sauce. There's more than what he leads on to, because not just anybody signs up to go ride an adventure bike. Well, not just anybody signs up to ride a Triumph 900 in a rally rate event,
right?
Where you should be riding an adventure. Yeah, and they keep smiling. You're right, Modi. So they keep smiling. Like
great attitude.
I don't think I've ever seen him frustrated, and I don't think
I secretly hate him for that.
It's like there's yeah. It's kind of like
it was so rad.
But it's really cool, and I had spent time with him at the rally as well, and it's like that positivity that Triumph better figure something out. And they better discover him quick, because
he is your guy.
if Ducati figures him out, he might be on Ducati.
Yes.
If I don't know, the KTM does that, but maybe Yamaha. I mean, Yamaha's pole, but Ducati seems to be putting a lot of effort into this new bike, and he could be another one of the poster children for it because of his attitude and then. Again, I was looking at the thing when he rolls into the line and I'm going, that thing is low. That thing is way too low to be out here. Way too low.
It's just crushing.
We should get the Mexican bike, the Ventos.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Italica?
The
Italica. We should make a class or something, a challenge. So to want to finish with Italica or something to get with a price or something.
Yeah, it's just like
just for the bike.
The Vocho class.
No, they do it in road racing. It's the Tour de Lemons.
Oh God!
Yeah, so it's like I don't know what it is. It's like you get $2,000 as your budget to buy a car and build it to race it for 24 hours. It's like, so yeah, I don't know. You could definitely do a class like that, or yeah,
they'll turn the most affordable rally bike if it finish, and then sales will go up.
Yeah. So I mean, there, and that's the thing is like, literally, again, my challenge to you guys, right? Give us the recipe, and from the beginning, if that's. What do you need on the bike? Here's the bare minimum. And I mean, we already know. I mean, it's you call Matthew or you call the team at RMS Rally Moto Shop, and okay, that equipment is done and ready to go. So then from there, it doesn't take that much, that much more. Okay, there's your equipment. Here's the school. Here's the
right.
Give us the recipe. That's what I think a lot of people want to see. That I get a lot of the questions about that.
Yeah.
What gear do I need? What kind of stuff?
Right.
And that's something very interesting. And I that you mentioned it changes my mind, because I was pretty close to the airbag and getting in and getting into the airbag. But that is a very true thing. When I was talking to Jimmy Lewis on the episode that I had him on, he talked about neck braces. We talked about neck braces briefly in that. And yeah, it's something that if it hinders the way you ride, it will cause accidents rather than help prevent them right. or protect you from them. Now, for those playing the home game, that does not mean, a helmet, and a jersey, some pants, and some boots, and you're good to go. No, there's protective gear involved, but you have to pick and choose what you're using. Don't just because they say, hey, no, neck braces is the way to do it. Read the disclaimer on the neck braces. They say up to 35 miles an hour. After that, you're on your own.
Right.
Well,
you're not going to be going 35.
No, you usually buy it for faster speeds than that.
Right.
But people don't know that, and it's not, it's literally, that's on their website, and if you read about it, but
right.
So that's interesting, that knowing those things about the airbags and the safety equipment and stuff like that, you think like, oh yeah, well, I'll just go get one. It should be the same. It should work the same.
No,
but it's not. So those are important things to know.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm some Choya spray.
Yeah. The Choyas are their own thing. I don't care what it is.
Choya spray. That's cool.
Yeah.
To kind of wrap it up, I mean, Mauricio Parra did a terrific job leading the whole show and really carrying the entire event. Basically, his office and his staff did everything. Mm-hmm. Basically, we did the routes. We all worked on them together, but the meat and bones, for the reason that the rally was successful, apart from, Mike Johnson at Rally Comp and our other sponsors, is Mauricio Parra in his office. And so we kind of give him let him wrap it up and maybe tell his fortune telling, or his tell us what happens in the future.
Yeah. We need a
jingle. It's very much was a team effort, obviously, but it feels so good we can have very responsive people and people really serious about it. It was hard to start over after 2 years, but overall, everyone did what they had to do with a smile. So for next year, it's just that. We hope we can have more new riders. We already graduated all the rookies. And I'm sure we'll get it. We'll have more Latino market, like South America and Mexico ones. Obviously, we hope to have Canadians back and to start. Yeah, Lars Hawking, he was supposed to come, but he will next year. So it's just very happy with the result. I'm sure there's a lot of new things that we need to do and improve. The pressure is higher. People obviously is expecting the same or more, but for sure there's more meat to start to start the great event again. So it already started with this interview, Victor. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Victor, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Chasing Waypoints.
We talked. Yeah, there we go. Little by little.
Yes,
little by little.
Muy bien, Victor. Muy bien.
Yeah. So good. Well, I'm glad again, it was a successful event. The vibe, the everything, from outside looking in was really, really good. Everybody was tuned in for it and up for it. So I think that, more. And again, 14 rookies said, this is my event. This is where I'm headed.
That was impressive.
So that is very impressive. And hopefully that number continues. Now,
that's a good goal to have. That's a good challenge, just to have at least 14 more new rookies.
Yeah, I think that's where it's at, because from there they love the event. They move on to Rally 1. They do what they need to do. They keep moving, and I think
they spread the virus.
Yeah, exactly. You're all ambassadors now. Go
Absolutely.
off. Go forth into the world.
Go, my children.
Promote. Yeah,
go.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you to all the riders who were at the event. The ones listening right now. from the heart. I really appreciate you coming, and we'll hope to come next year. Really, really thank you for your support, for your smiles, and for your feedback. So we'll see you next year.
Salute to that.
Absolutely. And Mao, I heard you kind of mention it earlier, and then I'll reiterate it. But you did say you did mention Chris Tabner, and I had mentioned it before. But yeah, he stepping up, and I mean the cards he was dealt, didn't skip a beat, turned right around and said, you know what, hey, I'm here, I can help, and jump right in, and that was really awesome. So
yeah, his participation with us was critical, and then I didn't know him a lot, and then we start talking, and then I think we'll start doing some great stuff for next year. It's a community of crazy people. Obviously, it shouldn't be all normal. If they were normal, they would not be doing the rally. So I think we're all alike, and we just like to play.
Yeah, gotta have a certain something. Well, cool. Parting words, anyone?
Yo quiero jugar.
let's
I'm so ready for.
Vamos a jugar.
Is it October yet?
Yes. Is it? I remember
Trick or treat.
the pre-race, right? And I told you we still got to wait another week. Can we just call everybody and start tomorrow? Let's go. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm really excited about next year. I'm excited to see everybody that was there for 2022 in 2023, and a whole new field of rookies that we'll be working on ticket into 2023 as well. And thank you to our whole Baja Rally team, man, for really helping this thing come together. Really appreciate every single one of you.
Just sitting here in my head, I already know where we're going with the stages and what we're doing.
Good.
Differently, similar start spots, and but it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And there's a reason to make it awesome was we know more people are coming.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, that's going to be critical is keep the rookie flow going and I mean and just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you got all you guys, I mean, like I said, is from the outside looking in. I mean, it's just the vibe, everything was there. The stage is on point as usual, everything, the staff, the group, the hotels, the food, everything, just
the massage.
I didn't go for the massage, but yeah, massages and all that stuff.
Do massages every day.
I have to say that there was a touch that I saw, and I was like, "That's badass." I mean, the whole event's badass, but it was just like that.
Something Mauricio did. What was it?
Probably whoever was responsible for the movie poster.
Mauricio.
I was like,
that poster.
That was like, okay, I get all of the like,
the feels, right?
All of it.
All the feels.
I don't.
We need one up here.
Victor should have one on your studio.
Yeah, we need one. We need one up here.
We'll give you one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very unique gift. One of our friends, a great designer, Alejandro Larcon. He did.
Nice.
And it was on a trip with Danny, Scotty, Marco Polo, and other friends. And we were explaining him about the rally and everything. So we just talked 4 days camping. And by the end of the day or the year or whatever, he just said, I have an idea and I'm going to give you a poster. So we didn't need to tell them anything. So it was not directed by us or do this or do that. It was just his brain just splashed on this art, which is great.
Yeah, you publish it, you see it. I was just like, dude, that's just so badass.
So cool.
But you know what? And I was gonna say, I'm like, I know there's a hard drive floating around with tons and tons of video footage of the Baja Rally.
Oh my god!
And I was gonna say, you know what? I'd love to see a movie. I'd love to see something a little more long form and all that stuff. But then as I'm thinking about it, I also thought, you know what? Nah.
That poster wrapped it all up.
No. There's the poster. There's the preview.
That's right.
There's your dates. Go do it.
Yep.
Go do it.
Doors are open. Let's go.
Yeah. You don't need a movie. You don't you just need to go out and explore and do it.
Right.
So awesome. Well, with that being said,
rock and roll.
We're good to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Imaginary fist bump from San Diego.
Yeah.
From the mountains of Jamul.
Big hug. Thank you very much.
Saludos. Thank you for being on, and we're gonna catch you. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you, bro.
Okay.
Chasing Waypoints.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Awesome. And there you have it. That is a wrap for the Chasing Waypoints podcast this week. Episode 90. Man, 90. That's it. We are on the final countdown to 100 episodes. So I am absolutely stoked. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap with the staff, or the board, I should say, from Baja Rally here live from the Adventure Taco Studios. A lot of fun having the guys here and checking out what they had to say. I mean, I think this is really good. It was a really good event. You had a lot of rookies there, which is a huge, huge thing for me personally, seeing that many rookies in one place, which was absolutely awesome. So anyway, stay tuned. You guys know what the challenge is. We're looking to try and get more people into Rally Raid here in North America. So stay tuned for the recipe. I hope everybody's doing good, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, that is a wrap for the Chasing Waypoints podcast this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you heard. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a bunch of others. Also, follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook under Chasing Waypoints, Instagram Chasing Waypoints _official, and of course, the YouTube under Chasing Waypoints. Hope everybody has a good week. We will see you guys for the next episode. Remember, shiny side up, and don't forget to tag us. We want to see where you guys are riding and what you guys are up to. Have a great week.